day, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to thank Darya Project for organizing such dialogue platform where we can exchange our experience. I'm also thankful to our speakers who did analysis on Central Asian region with the development of NQS. And I agree with the point is that we share identical problems both in Central Asia and the European region. We are one of 190 countries which is developing actively in QS. And in this process, we've got involved actively in 2018. Uh, Asking if it's possible to move the slides on. And that was the NQS as an important element of conceptual and strategic documents of the Kyrgyz Republic are reflected in the National Development Strategy of the Kyrgyz Republic till 2040, where one of the provisions clearly states that Kyrgyzstan is developing actively NQS. And the Ministry of Education and Science of the Kyrgyz Republic is one of the active participants of that process, and the Education Development Program until 2030 also defines that we are developing actively NQS. And I would like to share that, of course, all our national and governmental strategies are based on SDGs and led by SDGs till 2030, where one of the important components was to ensure equal access to men and women to non-expensive but good quality technical and vocational education, and to increase the number of young people interested in acquiring skills. Yes, please, the next slide. What are the key components of the NQS? And of course, one of the most important, this is a national qualifications framework, NQF, and these are also professional standards, qualifications, curricula, assessment, quality assurance, lifelong learning, and also the legislative database, which has been mentioned by previous speakers, and also this is management and financing and social partnership and quality assurance, and also have got National Qualification Council of the Kyrgyz Republic, which is the advisory body with the function to coordinate and to implement and to introduce NQS. Next slide, please. Asking for the next slide. Yeah, thank you. So I will not repeat myself, but this is just to show what has been achieved by us, what was introduced in terms of regulatory framework. That was a decree of the government which approved the concept of NQS and the National Qualifications Framework, and also by the order of the President, amendments were introduced to the law on education, and also the decree issued by the Cabinet of Ministers about establishing the independent certification and validation center, and also the plan for NQS implementation was also approved by the government, and also the order of the Ministry of Education improved the concept of NQS. And this year there was a new law on education adopted in Kyrgyzstan, which has united 5 laws. It's like a merging of 5 laws. I will not go into the details, but I rather would like to draw your attention to the vocational education. This is the further development of the national qualification system, and we have included such terms which are very relevant for today: non-formal education, informal education, independent certification, validation, credit, trajectory, and special status of the higher education institutions, choice of forms and methods of education, financial autonomy, development of educational standards. And next point, the workplace training, dual education, training and production complexes, center of excellence, technology parks, and we understand that one of the key partners are our business associations and employers and social partnership. This is a new term introduced to the law, and one of the participants of the educational process are employers because we understand that at the level of the vocational education, employers are active participants of the educational process when it comes to the development of professional standards. And here I would like to give you some statistics in the breakdown by the economically active population, by the level of education. With a higher vocational education, we've got 21%, with so it's about 2.5 million with economic education. So, and this slide shows that about 60% do not have professional education, vocational education, and they're coming from the workable group. And and there is a new law on education adopted which integrated such terms as validation and certification of professional competencies, which means independent certification. Maybe I shall not read out the terms itself, but these terms have been introduced successfully to the new law, and that's why it was very important to establish the independent center for the certification and validation. And based on the analysis, the following recommendations were developed for partners. As previous speakers mentioned, it's very important to develop NQS, and this becomes the responsibility of many stakeholders, and therefore each governmental body has been assigned with certain functions. For example, Ministry of Education and Science, they are responsible for the quality and the numbers of the trained workforce, and also the National Qualifications Council. This is the quality of the HR, and this is NQS management, and trade unions also should be involved into the development of NQS and to protect rights and interests of the employees. And the Chamber of Industry and Trade, one of the main partners, represents the interests of different stakeholders and first of all of business structures, and this is one of the active participants to promote NQS as two independent validation and certification. And I shall speak with more details later about the specific roles, but also sectoral professional structures, as they are responsible to develop, to shape the demand for the quality and qualities and the quantities of qualifications. And the Ministry of Economy, this is to establish framework conditions for economic operations, and also the Ministry of Labor is involved in the analysis of the labor market functioning. And by such network, the platform is provided for the interaction, so that the system of the independent certification and validation becomes fully operational in application both to non-formal and informal types of education with the participation of all partners. And tomorrow we will have a big forum organized with all the stakeholders that you see on this slide involved. And we would like to raise the importance of the development of the new roadmap for the NQS development for for the next 3 or 5 years. This is to be defined tomorrow, and we will discuss and select the main priorities, main activities, and the ideas that we need to promote further development of the national qualification system. On this slide, we would like to highlight the benefits of the independent certification, and for the state, this will be reduced rate and the period of unemployment, and also it will be about the increased effectiveness of education and training and higher contribution to economic objectives, and it will reduce the cost of vocational education. And for the population, you see, it will provide citizens with equal opportunities to obtain qualifications. It will facilitate the process of transition from training to work and from work to continuing education. It will stimulate the cooperation of stakeholders. And for citizens, it will help to obtain a certificate without training in an educational institution confirming professional knowledge of a profession. It shall expand employment opportunities and increase competitiveness in the labor market, and stimulate interest in continuing education and training. And for enterprises, the benefits include increased capacity in the area of human resource management and optimization of the HR training costs. Next slide, please. And here again, we speak about the importance of validation. This is a recognition of non-formal and informal education, and this has direct impact on the economy of the country, because it will frame the cost of the workforce and the salary rates, because the salary rates will be defined by the level of qualifications and by taxation system, so which will be contributing to the revenues of the country, thus supporting the economy. And also the profit of the employers will be evident, because if HR is well qualified, then the quality of the services will be higher, and the cost of the products will go higher as well, thanks to the higher quality of operations.
Нет, это я уже сказала. Следующий.
Next slide.
Ну и в целом это все повлечет.
And in general, this will lead to the development of the vocational education in Kyrgyzstan, which is performance oriented. So, and to improve the content, first of all, we need to modernize curricula, and to modernize the vocational education. We can do this through the improved curriculum plans, and which are based on professional standards. We also work very actively with our international donors. These are the projects funded by international donors. And the meeting of today again comes under the auspices of our donor support, and we have other platforms as well, which are aimed at capacity building. Some projects help with technical equipment, some projects help with the improvement of curriculum plans, and another priority direction, this is the digitalization of the educational process, digitalization of management. This becomes already an integral part of the reform for today. And another important component, this is independent certification and validation. And we are at the stage of its growing, and we are just establishing, and tomorrow there will be an official presentation of the Center for Independent Certification and Validation with a description of their functions. So for today, this is it is required to increase the competences of the assessors to improve the training and retraining throughout few months. The assessors are being trained. These are chief cook, plaster specialists, and melting specialists, so the assessors which are selected from the business environment are being retrained so that they can fulfill this function. So the center, which is independent but under the structure of the Ministry of Education, but this does not mean that the ministry gets involved in the examination. The ministry has just set up the platform, and the commission members will include the representatives of professional associations, and we are working together with employers and with the Chamber of Trade and Industry in order to increase the capacity of assessors. And of course, another component, this is the roadmap to improve the quality assurance system, and under the new department there will be the quality unit established. In Estonia, I believe you have such a quality unit, and this was used as a model for us to follow.
Чтобы не быть голословным,
And in order to
снизился до
prove my words, I would like to give some information. So the NET share has reduced by 8%, and so for today it makes up 19%, and this is the data from National Statistics Committee. So young people who go to the vocational education has increased by 10%, and this is confirms and proves the active position of the government, and so we have simplified the enrollment, and we have expanded the access for young people to get enrolled to the informal education, which also improves the statistics. And thank you for your attention. And the last slide, this is just for you to show how the vocational education looks like in Kyrgyzstan. So you can see that the higher professional education is 230,000 students. These are the numbers from the last year. So secondary professional education, it is 93,000, and the primary professional education, that's about 32,000. But we would like to see engineers to be around 32,000. As to the secondary professional education, the students will remain approximately the same, but we would like to see more graduates of professional schools, because we need more qualified workforce, skilled labor for our business sector.